Hello, it's Ollie here from the All About the Balls team. Hope you are all very well. Well, we have gone and done it again. Just like last week, we've gone and recorded too long an episode and so have decided to split it into two. So the first one you'll hear just after me rambling now is a discussion all about our biggest sporting disappointments. And then tomorrow there will be another quiz from Quizmaster Phil. Hope you are all well. Hope you enjoy these shows and take care of yourselves. Bye. Welcome to another lockdown episode from the guys at the All About the Balls podcast. We are a bunch of mates who love nothing more than just sitting around and arguing about sport while enjoying a few cold ones. Just like the Belarus Premier League, no global pandemic is going to stop us from getting together to shoot the breeze. So without further ado, let me introduce you to some very good friends of mine, Gareth, Boise and Phil. Lads, how are we? I don't know what week this is of lockdown now. I've got to stop giving a shit. Like, how is everybody?
We're all right. I'd say we're all right. Just getting through. I'm not usually one for routine, but I feel like I'm just getting into a routine now that is very dull, but also I'm very comfortable with it and happy with it, and I can see
reassuringly dull.
Yeah, as soon as it goes, I'm gonna struggle, I think. So
that's the thing, isn't it? Because like we've now been in this lockdown situation for long enough that it has become the new norm.
Yeah.
So when we go back to normal, whatever, it's going to be a whole load of bloody change again. Like, I've got to start doing things differently. What are the train times? And it'd be a massive pain.
What is normal going to be when we get out? Because it's probably not going to be.
Here we go.
It's probably not going to be what it was before. That's tonight's question. Let's go.
I'm going to have to wear a mask on the train. That's all I think. That's what's going to happen.
Like a scream mask.
That would
God, be terrifying.
Picture, just a platform of commuters all with the normal masks on, and then just with a scream mask.
Yeah. So I didn't get the memo.
Hashtag awkward.
I mean, the only real solace I'm taking at the moment of any of this lockdown is that South Africa is in an incredibly much more heightened lockdown, in which they banned booze, takeaways, and cigarettes, and the sale thereof. So we got something the other day saying they're not in lockdown; they're in rehab.
Yeah.
Either that country is going to tear itself to pieces because of that, or it's going to come out a lot healthier.
Yeah.
What's the reasoning behind that? Have they?
Fat alcoholics.
Yeah. They love a beer.
Just trying to sort them all out.
I think the theory is it's deemed as state of emergency in the law. You're not allowed to transport alcohol in state of emergency or cigarettes or any contraband, I believe. But yeah, people. Although I was reading an article today, it's completely off piece, but the hospitals are empty because 40% of the hospital admissions in South Africa is booze related. Of either like people drunk driving or just fighting in the streets or whatever, but it's just apparently the hospitals are just empty. So in some bizarre way, it's either going to work, or as you say, people are just going to go mental at some point and just go, enough is enough. But anyway, completely off topic. This is a sports podcast, not a poor attempt.
There's no sport on, so we can talk about what we bloody like.
Oh. Yeah.
I do like. Have you seen on Sky Sports? They've got all the retro football games.
Yeah.
And they're the 92-93 Liverpool Nottingham Forest opening day of the season game, and it's just so funny. It's class. The whole thing's just class. The ball looks so heavy, like when they're kicking it and stuff.
I love that that's become the thing, that the ball looks heavy in 1992. When you think in 1992 we were talking about the ball looking heavy in the sort of 1940s or something, and all you know, that in 1992 really wasn't that long ago. I mean, it was 28 years ago. That's a long time.
Just 2 years less than since Liverpool won the league. So that is a long time. That is a long time.
What was the name? Do you remember that ball for the World Cup that was just blowing all over the place? Was that Giuliani? No, that's a politician from America. What was it? The Giuliani or something like that? Like there was a ball that was.
Was it the 2010 World Cup, South Africa?
Yeah, there was something like the ball and the vuvuzelas were just a fucking disaster. But the ball was just pinging all over the place, and goalkeeper's like, "What are we meant to do with this? This is ridiculous."
I think they should just play crazy ball. Just have the ball doing all kinds of weird stuff.
A ball with a weight in it stuck on one side of it as well. Absolutely amazing.
Half of it taped in gaffer tape, and the other half it just swings all over the place.
Absolute class. I watched an amazing YouTube video of these two kids playing driveway cricket in Oz, and this guy was rapid, and it was way too short, and he just pins, it must be his brother or whatever, but he just pins him about 10 times on the bounce. It was like us pretending we were going to face someone really good, but from about 35 metres away, but that's what it would feel like for me.
The best bit was on the last one when he kind of like just fended it off his face into the roof above him, and then as the ball dropped down, he just smashed it, as if to say, just fuck off and don't do this anymore. I'm out.
Just taking an absolute pasting for a good 10 minutes off his mate.
I saw another one, backyard cricket today, that was a kid bowling at his brother, and the parents had obviously set up a little video camera, and he pinned him on the leg, and they went to Hawkeye, and they'd got a proper little Hawkeye set up on it.
Oh, mate.
Which was amazing.
Speaking of that backyard cricket stuff, I've watched, again, I've been down a few dark, deep YouTube rabbit holes over the last few weeks. There is some proper decent setups with backyard cricket. And there's one that's got like a pavilion and like white picket fencing around it. And that's bloody awesome.
Short boundaries, though.
Yeah.
You're going about fast on that, too.
Fancy chances.
Yeah.
And so, do you remember back that first time when you and your mates or family or whatever discovered taping up half a tennis ball and the amazing results that had on your bowling?
We never did it. I never did it. It wasn't. I remember when I grew up hearing about it afterwards, but it was never something I did.
Ball tampering, isn't it?
Exactly.
Not in the spirit of cricket.
I'd expect it of the South African there.
Exactly.
Well, exactly. I mean, that's because the one topic we were going to cover off was sporting disappointments, and Hansi and his leather jacket was one of my things actually. So funny you say that. But yeah, no, we used to tape it up. I mean, it got quite. We got a bit lively at one point. One of our mates got a syringe and injected water into the ball. So it was quite hard and like moved all out because of the water in it. And then when that pinned you, it was like, it got pretty intense at one point. I got a blood nose, cause I got hit in the face with a bouncer with a taped up tennis ball because it just came out of nowhere off a length. And, we were laughing about it a while ago with me and my mates who did it. And he was like, remember when I gave you a blood nose? I was like, yeah, how we laughed. We laughed.
So I used to play cricket in the backyard with my younger brother. He was, how old? He's 5 years younger than me. So,
I think he's 5.
He's still 5. It's weird. It's a weird family setup we've got, mate. I tell you. But he was 5 years younger. So like when I was, 13, 14. He was 5 years younger, so there's quite a big difference. Like once you hit your teenagehood, there's quite you grow bigger and stronger, that kind of stuff, quite rapidly.
I'm still waiting for that.
Yeah, puberty will come. Yeah. So I was running in off a big run up with this tennis ball that was swinging all over the place, and absolutely pinging my younger brother and yelling at him, going, "Come on, get your feet moving!" And my poor brother was like, "Fuck off, you tosser."
It's a good baptism for him, though. He came out stronger. He came out the other side better.
Yeah, I haven't spoken to him for a while, actually, so I don't know how he is. But,
he's throwing tennis balls at people.
I love that sport has been gone for so long now that on a sports podcast we've resorted to backyard cricket from when we were growing up.
Hey, I
remember that time I was 380 not out against my younger sister on the third day.
I got good.
I got her googly, and she couldn't do anything about it.
Day 3, they were all knackered. There was gaps everywhere in the field. Okay, so let's move on to something you're right, Phil. Actually, part of you being coming into this four ball, becoming a four ball, you've pulled us back to some structure, which I like. So we were going to talk tonight about sporting disappointments. I've already put one of mine. Mine is a lot around South African cricket, I realised. Just
some ripe pickings there.
Yeah, I mean, just Anshi Grenier was just obviously ridiculous. And then the 1999 World Cup semi-final, probably the worst moment in my cricket watching life.
And why was that? I mean, you had a good team, so were you expecting to win, or was it just that you got close and you knew that you'd usually expect them to choke earlier on?
Actually, I've just about 92 now too. That was good. God, it's all coming back. I think weirdly that Australian side was incredible, wasn't it? From like 98 to 2004, that period, actually probably a bit longer, but that period was just incredible. But we had a really good side, and Lance Klusener was, I think, he's still got player of the tournament, Zulu, as he was called. We just had a really good side. We had Donald, we had, just power side, and I think we really fancied to win it. And I just remember sitting on my bed watching that all unfold and just thinking, I know what a New Zealand cricket fan must feel like.
I think that's it, though, isn't it? We talked last week about, your greatest sporting moments, and imagine the ones we talked about. Headingley, if Lyon had caught the ball that was thrown to him and he'd run Leach out, or if the LBW had been given out, or if England, if Guptill had got back for two, or if England had, the Kasparovich glove down the leg side when he didn't have his hand on the bat had been given not out, and all of those things. And I think that's it, though, isn't it? And that's probably the thing about South Africa '99. It was such a disappointment because you'd done it, you'd won, you were there, you got across the line, bar that whatever it was. We're needing 1 or 4 balls, and then to cock it up at that point. That's when your biggest disappointment, just like the biggest, the thrills that we talked about last week, were those moments where almost all hope had gone, or so much rode on it, and you got across the line. This is just the opposite, isn't it? This is when you were there, you'd done it. Not even South Africa can cock this one up.
I mean, he clattered. He hit I remember so clearly. He smashed a cover drive through for 4. I think it was the second ball, and we were in control. We just had to just use our brain, and it's just, I don't know. I still to this day don't know what was going on. Imagine playing in that game. Was it from both sides? Was
it the 2007 World Cup? I can't remember if I've got the dates right. But which one was the one where they misread the Duckworth Lewis rule? South Africa.
That was 2003, which we were hosting.
2003. So straight after '99, and they looked at the thing and thought the rain's coming in. They looked at the chart and said, right, we just need to not lose a wicket off this ball. So was it Boucher just patted it back down the wicket and walked off, bat under his arm, and went, good stuff, guys. And they went, you needed one more.
Yeah. Thing is, after the World Cup, Sean Pollock was then made captain, and then he was captain in 2003. Obviously, swiftly removed from captaincy after that, and all maths Zoom teaching at this stage, I reckon. But yeah, we were stitched up in '92 with whatever system. I don't think it was Duckworth Lewis.
No, it was. Do you know who invented the rule that cocked you up in '92?
No,
Richie Benaud.
Really?
Oh. It was Richie Benaud's rule that you lost so 2 overs were lost, and what they did was they took off, for the number of overs lost, they took off the lowest scoring overs from the other team's innings. So England had patted back 2 maidens. So when it was, 21 off 13 balls or something, lost 2 overs, he didn't lose a run. He didn't. It was a bizarre and weird and terrible rule made up by one of the greatest cricketers and commentators of all time.
I wonder if, like, so every tactic who actually understood that rule, just 2 overs, just blocked out 2 overs every match. Just in
make
case
sure we've got
rain,
a couple of maidens in the bag in case there's a shower.
Yeah, I mean, it's just bizarre. But yeah, so that was obviously a stitch up, and well, not a stitch up, but just ridiculous. And that would have been on par with the '95 Rugby World Cup in terms of getting to the final. I think we'd been back for a year.
I was going to say that was straight after the
ban, it was 91. We went to India in 91 and played that first half, and then we were almost pretty much straight into it. But yeah, so I mean, 92, 99, 03, we were just woeful in 15. Oh no, 15 we got to semi-final. We lost it just to New Zealand. That was probably our best side I think we had. And then just obviously our worst performance in the World Cup, the last one. So it's excellent. I'm really pleased. I brought this all up. I brought myself.
Does South Africa go into the World Cups thinking they stand a chance? Because I think you predicted that they'd make the semi-finals, didn't you? On the latest World Cup.
Your knowledge is annoying. Well done. Google it. Yes, I did predict that. But that was, look, I will be frank, that was definitely more of a heart than head thought process.
But I don't think even you thought that it would crash quite that badly.
No. Yeah. So, but on a positive, Graham Smith has been appointed as the full-time permanent head of cricket.
Good. I do love Graham. Smith.
He's he doesn't suffer fools gladly, I don't think, and I think there'll be some good changes. So we will probably choke in the semis. The next one is my guess, my prediction. We'll get out of the groups, but choke in the semis. So it's all development for me.
Improvement.
I'd like just to get to the final and choke in the final. Then we've ticked a lot of boxes.
It's progress, isn't it? That's all you can ask.
Well, exactly. The new normal.
What about the most biggest sporting disappointments? The 2015 Rugby World Cup with England going out at home in the group stages. That was horrendous.
Yeah.
I was at the Wales group game, and it was pretty poor.
So, here's a question: is that a bigger disappointment than losing the final last year after the way we beat New Zealand in the semi-final?
Oh, that's a good question. For me, 2015 was a bigger disappointment. Not even making out the groups, being the host nation, having Australia in your group as well and being torn to shreds by them. The Welsh beating it, that was just dire.
I agree. It's the correct answer.
1 point in the quiz.
I'd say if you didn't want to lose if you picked two teams that you didn't want to lose to,
Scotland and France.
Out of anyone.
Tonga. And Namibia. No one wants to lose to Namibia. Yeah, and I'd agree.
I agree. I think there's something in that, though, isn't there? There's something about being a host nation and that adding an extra element to it. Was it what was the Cricket World Cup? Was it 99 where England were knocked out before the official song of the tournament was released?
Great. That's a good knowledge statement, isn't it? I like that. Oh, yeah, I mean, although they've redeemed themselves last year, but as you say, I mean, there's a lot of host nations that are deep. I mean, South Africa in 03 also. What we were talking about with the Duckworth-Lewis thing was they didn't get out of the groups because of that. So it's funny. It either goes one or two ways, it seems, if you host. You either have a great tournament or you just absolutely woeful.
Yeah.
Even the Japanese had a really good World Cup, didn't they?
Yeah.
From where they were.
Yeah, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
That makes the World Cup, doesn't it, as well? Like,
if the host nation's there, and all the fans can keep behind it.
Going back to the South African cricket squad, I just looked up what that team was, and it was a quality team. There's probably only one player in there that you wouldn't. Well, I say it's a quality team. it's a good test team. You look at it now, and as a one-day team, I mean, it looks pretty average.
Who did we have? Who did we have at batting, top of the order?
So you had Gary Kirsten and Herschel Gibbs opening.
Yeah, you take Gibbs. You take that pair.
So then Darryl Cullinan, who I completely forgot, but he was quality, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, again, except Shane Warne.
Yeah. Well, the Warne sledge, that's probably his best thing, isn't it? Was it when Warne said to him, I've been waiting 3 years to have another go at you, and Cullinan said, looks like you spent most of it eating.
Is that when he went on the diet pills? Took it to heart.
But then Hansi, Jacques Callas at 5.
That's a good 5. That's a good 5, isn't
it? Then Jonty Rhodes,
class.
Sean Pollock at 7. And so Klusner didn't come in till 8.
Yeah. Finisher he was, except in that game. But normally he was a finisher.
As it turns out, no, he wasn't. But, yeah.
Oh, he finished your World Cup run.
Yeah, he did.
31 off 16 balls was what he got, which
pretty good.
Was really good for a runner-up. And then Boucher, Steve Elworthy.
Yes, I love Steve Elworthy.
And then Alan.
That action. Yeah, I mean, it was. Yeah, I mean, what a side.
Yeah, could have won it.
Oh, it's devastating. It's devastating. Actually, I don't know why I brought it up. I should just played it safe and I should have just gone for United losing on the last day to City in 11-12. That would have been a better.
Again, what's we talked about this last week in terms of, does it make it better to be there? Is the disappointment worse if you're there? You know, Ian, you must have been to see Palace in some big games where, well, not big games, but maybe playoff finals or something like that you've lost.
I've been to a couple of playoff finals where we've lost. Yes, you'll remember when we lost to Leicester at Wembley. Steve Claridge scored an extra time to win. That was a disappointing time. Yeah.
How does that rank in your all-time sporting disappointments?
I've got pretty low opinions of Palace and low expectations of Palace. So
that's probably a better phrase.
Yeah.
I don't really like the team I support, to be honest. Actually, I'm supporting Brighton.
So, I wouldn't say I've ever really expected too much of them. I find it's the best way to approach a sport, really.
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier if your expectations are low.
Low opinions and low expectations make it a lot easier to get through most sporting events.
That's the problem, Gareth. You're hoping and expecting South Africa to win.
Yeah.
I think that's it, isn't it? It's the hope. If you start getting hope, so I think if England had lost that World Cup, that would have been one of the greatest disappointments, because you expected them, and although you tell yourself don't get your hopes up, they're not going to do it, you expect them to do it, and when those expectations are high, then it's horrible.
You can't turn off the hope tap. That's the problem.
Yeah,
you just can't turn it off.
That's a great name for an album.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
Wow, amazing. Christ.
So.
But then this is where I bring in athletics as one of the greatest sporting disappointments. Just because, in general, as a sport, you can't trust it. You can't trust the results and everything you're doubting. And therefore, you're not surprised when one of the top athletes tests positive for drugs. And I think that is a big disappointment.
That's that. Next week's episode, doping.
I think that's a great answer, because track and field, athletics should be the purest of all sports. You know, it is literally who can run the fastest, who can jump the furthest, whatever it is. And you're right. You know, I don't think you want to watch sport like that. You want to watch athletics and you want to see something incredible and think, wow, that is a feat of human achievement that has never been done before. That is, but actually what you think now, if you see something that hasn't been done before, your first thought is how?
You're involved in those circles, Village. I don't get why. Yeah, not in the doping circle. Sorry. Really. He's been doping
really
for ages.
Uncomfortable about where this is turning.
No, but you're like spotlights on you. You're in an inquiry now. But I'm intrigued. I don't get the point of banning someone for a short period, like a year or 2 years, because they've got the advantage, right? Surely you've got, like in South Africa, they do a lot of the rugby boys when they're 18 and 19. They get taken out of the system. They steroid up for a year. They don't play, and then they come back, but they absolute monsters. So that's different because they're not being banned, they're just cheating the system. But I don't get Gatland's a good example. He's been banned. He's come back because he got an advantage from what he's done.
I think part of it is it's a legal process rather than what's morally right or what people think is acceptable. And, various athletes have gone through the courts and ultimately it's been decided legally that it's not fair to ban someone for, either life straight out or to extend those. And, people have challenged them and won. So I don't think necessarily that most people who have a interest in clean sport would say anything different to you. It's really hard to judge what the longer term benefits are, and it's easy to say it's the same with match fixing in cricket or anything that cheats the system. If you're caught once, ban them for life, and that's the deterrent that you need. But I think the main thing is that hasn't necessarily held up in court, which isn't necessarily where it should be, but is just a fact of where it is.
This is maybe getting a little bit off a tangent, but there was that research, wasn't there, that actually it's not the seriousness or the sort of the extent of the punishment that dissuades people. It's the likelihood of getting caught. So like the death penalty, for example, does not dissuade people from committing terrible crimes, but the likelihood of getting caught will dissuade people. So if you can show that actually if you dope, you are 50% likely, 60% likely, 70% likely to get caught, that will have a bigger impact than some huge ban or banning sports people from the sport forever.
Yeah.
Anyway, so biggest disappointments. I'm going to throw one in. I've got an example, but it's an example of a theme, and it's when fairy tales turn out not to be fairy tales. So my example is Tom Watson, 2009 British Open in the golf. Someone who had been a hero of the game in the 70s and 80s, nowhere for ages, and then suddenly I don't know how old he was, but a 60-something-year-old coming back, leading the Open and going down the last few holes, chance to win it, and then not winning it. That's just I'm an absolute sucker for a sporting fairy tale, and for it to be dashed at the end is just one of those real gutting things. Who won it, by the way? Can you remember? 2009 Open.
Stewart Cink.
Well, Googled. It's easier. It's better if you don't look at your computer screen when
we can see your face. You big doper. You big doper.
But exactly, 4-year ban from the pod.
I'll still listen.
Hey, we need him to do the editing. He's back in.
Yeah, fair enough. But I guess that's the point. People, especially in the fairy tale, people don't remember necessarily the person who ruins the fairy tale. That Tom Watson's probably still more famous for the 2009 Open than Stewart Cink is, even without the win. But boo you, Stewart Cink. That's my message. Boo you.
No doping and booze duetting when you see him. If anyone
That is a podcast title. That is a podcast title. But it kind of connects a little bit, like in terms of the biggest sporting disappointments, not just what we've described there, where it's like a loss that's the disappointment. It's more like players or sports people who kind of you feel haven't achieved what they could have achieved. So, like Tiger Woods, for example, where would he have been now if he hadn't enjoyed non-golfing activities quite as much as he did? Like, or rather,
if he hadn't got injured.
I was going to say his injury is probably a bigger factor in that, isn't it?
He was winning quite a lot whilst doing it, but it was him getting caught that then led to him falling to pieces. But like, and there's others as well. There's others as well who are huge, have had so much potential and then never quite lived up to.
I think of the old Suds team of 06. The old Suds team of 06 didn't live up to its potential, I don't think.
Is this item labelled 15 times major winner Tiger Woods didn't live up to his potential? Just check.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he should have been 25 to 30, really.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, again, all relative, isn't it, to expectations? So,
Google it.
But yeah, Google it.
Yeah.
So,
well, look, I mean, we could probably ramble for quite a while because we're all quite bored at home.
all three of you stay safe.
You too, Gareth. You
Yes,
too.
I will. See you later, boys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Go well.
Bye. Bye.